We saw what this disease can do, so guess what? We are afraid. We are. I still am.
Amanda Klutz gets emotional over President Donald Trump's response to his own COVID-19 diagnosis.
One thing that's for certain, don't let it dominate you. Don't be afraid of it. You're going to beat it.
On the 3-month anniversary of Nick Cordero's death, his widow and the mom of their 1-year-old son, Elvis, took to her Insta story to respond to Trump's tweet about leaving the hospital after just 2 days amid his battle with COVID-19. On Monday, the president wrote in part, quote, "Feeling really good. Don't be afraid of COVID. Don't let it dominate your life."
You guys, I'm honestly not a very political person. But this is really kind of hard to ignore. I'm sitting here in my house and I'm honestly frozen. I can't really even move. I couldn't believe what I read. Not everyone's lucky enough to walk out of the hospital after 2 days.
She is just one of hundreds of thousands of voices of the 210,000 family members whose family members are dead. Good evening, America. It is 7 p.m. Wednesday, October 7th, and this is Queer News Tonight, the world's first live LGBTQ daily evening news. It is time to queer up the news.
Bring you these stories and other stories from LGBTQ headlines. Drag Race executives give hints about drag kings and trans performers in the future.
If you weren't sure how 2020 is going, a new poll finds that more than half Americans now believe civil war in America is coming with violence in the streets.
Yes, America. By the way, sadly, it is still 2020. And tonight on It's Happening Out, Wednesday at 8 p.m., queer talking heads knock back some glasses in I'd Swallow That, a fun game that you can play right along with us at home, and you don't have to worry about getting drunk as much as you would like. On Gay Town Hall, Thursday at 8 p.m., the most diverse cast of LGBTQ community members will break down tonight's vice presidential debate. And here's a small preview. We're going to trash Mike Pence. A lot. So, good evening again, America. It's 7 p.m. Wednesday, October 7th, 2020. It is time to queer up the news. We are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your stories we are going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
Tonight on the world's first live daily queer evening news show.
Tonight's news about the gay community and the news from an LGBTQ perspective. Are our gay stories important to you? In headlines, politics, entertainment, gay culture, travel, religion, and more. Reported by respected anchors.
Out of the closet and into the headlines on Q News Tonight.
Well, thank you for joining Queer News Tonight. We are live. This is an unedited evening LGBTQ news show, so anything can happen this evening. We bring you the news of and a perspective from the LGBTQ community. I'm your anchor, Al Ferguson, and this is my co-anchor, Dr. Ty Hauser, and special guest anchor from Vote Common Good, Executive Director Doug Padgett. So let's queer up the news. Tonight, we are going to bring you headlines. The LGBTQ community in America is diverse, while the LGBTQ community around the world is vast. And we're going to bring you the bullet points of queer news for today, Wednesday, October 7th, 2020. We begin by queering up Vote 2020. VP debate, Harris for the LGBTQ prosecution, Pence on the witness stand. Watch this.
So I think that Kamala Harris has to, she's gotten a lot of excitement for things like her Chuck Taylors that she's been wearing, and the boots, the Timberland boots she's been wearing. But tonight's an opportunity for her to put some more meat on the bone about her policy chops. And what we know is, Senator Harris has done very well in debates during the presidential primaries. I mean, one of the things that may have gotten in her way when she was trying to be vice president was the way she took on Joe Biden. So we know she can deliver a punch. What we have to see also tonight, though, is can she counterpunch when she's been hit?
In the past, the vice presidential debate has been regarded as inconsequential, a largely performative event that had little bearing on the outcome of the presidential contest by all accounts. But this is going to be a very different event this year due to the uncertainty surrounding Donald Trump and his actions, and the fact that Pence is considered the most anti-LGBTQ vice president in history. While Trump tweets a storm, and we're unsure if he is all there right now, Pence has to face off against Kamala Harris in one-on-one. Kamala Harris routinely takes down witnesses in the Senate by doing her homework and knowing how to push buttons. And if Pence struggles like witnesses do in front of Harris in the Senate, it could be the last straw for Trump's campaign.
I really think this is going to be a powerful night tonight. Kamala Harris has this way of talking right to the viewer and getting right to the heart of the person that she's in these interactions with. And I think she's going to really open up Mike Pence in a way that he's never had to deal with in his entire political or professional career.
I wish someone would open up Mike Pence a little bit. He probably needs it.
I think you'd find a lot in there if you know what I'm saying.
But no, Kamala, I mean, as a prosecutor, she is amazing, and I cannot wait to watch her go to town on him.
Well, the LGBTQ community, of course, is waiting for the exploration of Pence's past as governor of Indiana and his claims that being gay is a choice, which has come out of his mouth, and of course the Supreme Court nominations. But where he cannot run is he was the director of the White House's Coronavirus Commission. She is going to grill him to exhaustion tonight on the fact that 210,000 people are dead. We've spent $7 trillion. And what did we get for everything in human loss and coin that was spent?
So true.
And one of the things, just to finally mention, that Mike Pence is famous for being uncomfortable with is being around women. When he has to sit and be interrogated by Kamala Harris, even if they're separated by plexiglass, that might not be enough for him, or as he likes to refer to her.
And I have to observe, not only is he uncomfortable about being around women, he's uncomfortable about and talking about LGBTQ, especially gay men. It's going to be really wonderful to watch.
Well, let's queer up the USA. More than half of Americans now believe that civil war in America is coming, with violence in the streets. 2020 has been a trying year, and Democrats and Republicans can only seem to agree on one thing. Both worry about the legitimacy of the upcoming presidential election, and fear an outcome that appears tainted could heighten the nation's already frayed psyche and potentially exacerbate violence in the streets. A new YouGov poll shows that 51% of Americans believe that there will not be a general agreement about who wins the election, and 57% believe that violence will be what ultimately solves the problem, much likely for worse rather than for better.
Let's continue to queer up the world. New Zealand and Canada eyeing ban conversion therapy. Lawmakers in New Zealand and Canada are gearing up to ban conversion therapy as countries around the world take increasing steps to outlaw the discredited practice. Although previous attempts to ban conversion therapy in New Zealand stalled, the declaration has already won support from the Progressive Green Party, which is in a ruling coalition with Labour and New Zealand First Party, a nationalist populist group. The governments of Ireland, Northern Ireland, and the United Kingdom have also all pledged to pass conversion therapy bans, but legislation has yet to be enacted.
Next, let's queer up entertainment. RuPaul has returned to social media, touting in first tweet about Olivia Newton-John. Since the beginning of the quarantine, RuPaul Charles has been mostly absent from social media. He even went so far as to temporarily deactivate his Twitter account. Well, now he's back. He has given no reason for wiping the social media accounts. Some, like James William Ross, have said it was all in anticipation of some imagery circulating that would paint the star in a very bad light. There has been no evidence that that was the case.
Let's queer up gay culture. Queer people are protecting themselves with multiple social media profiles. In a startling trend, more and more we hear about those in the LGBTQ community who are separating their default profiles from their queer special interest profiles in order to isolate themselves from backlash online or vitriol. Even Queer News Tonight staff member David Hopkins uses this to some extent, which has gotten him into trouble with Facebook, whose enforcement methods for improper account use seem strangely tight for members of the LGBTQ community.
Next, we'll queer up entertainment. Drag Race executives give hints about drag kings and trans performers in the future. The co-founders of RuPaul's Drag Race claimed the VH1 reality competition of drag performers, quote, does not exclude anyone, and teased that upcoming cast may represent a greater diversity of drag. In a recent interview, Fenton Bailey said that charisma and uniqueness matter far more than gender, and that drag kings and trans people could be in the plans in the near future, which is sure to send fans of the show into a predictable frenzy. That's it for today's headlines. Al, I'm going to kick it back over to you.
And thanks, Ty. Now we discuss a very special event. Join the Happening Out television network at 5 p.m. this Thursday, October 8th, here at Sunshine Cathedral as we celebrate Vote Common Good. Watch this.
We were shocked by the fact that people of faith said, we want that person to be the president of the United States. And a lot of us said, we've got to do something about it. So we said, well, we've woken up and we now need to speak up and we need to stand up. And we asked people in making the common good their voting criteria, not their political party, not even a political agenda, to start with the idea that the common good drives you. And I believe as a Christian that my call is not to vote for my own self-interest. I should do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, even in my voting. So we need to be the ones who are going to voice that to other people.
Make sure that from the lighthouse shine on me.
Vote Common Good is an inspiring, energizing, and mobilizing movement that started in January of 2020 for people of faith to make the common good their voting criteria and to pursue faith, hope, and love for a change on Election Day 2020 and prevent the re-election of Donald Trump. This 90-minute event is for people of all ages, political learnings, and faith interest. A blend of rally, revival, party, and political meeting. And it includes musicians, poets, activists, and more. Queer News Tonight is proud to support this Get Out the Vote rally. Tonight's co-anchor, Doug Paget, puts the A in the LGBTQA as an ally. He is a pastor and is the executive director of Vote Common Good. Good evening, Doug, and we're really glad you're here. And you're not doing a bad job as an anchor. Are you working for my job, dude?
I would never have such ambitions.
Tell us a little bit about Vote Common Good. What's its aim and how does it work?
You know, Vote Common Good really is about reaching faith voters. You know, those voters that people hear about all the time, those evangelicals and white Catholics who seem to proclaim a faith of kindness and goodness and gentleness and self-control and care, and yet support Donald Trump. And so many of us know people like this in our family, in our communities, people we see on television who proclaim one thing in their Christian faith, and yet they support someone in an administration that works against all of those things. So what we do at Vote Common Good is intentionally reach out to these people to call them to change their way. It's what in the religious tradition you call repentance. Now we're asking them to make a shift.
The program is done outdoors. It'll be here at the Sunshine Cathedral campus. Social isolation protocols, mask required. But tell us a bit about the program, because I understand it's a unique combination of speakers and poetry and music and rally. Tell us a bit about that. What do you do?
Well, yeah, we've been traveling the country since January, and since August we've been.
By the way, Doug, did you know that there was this little thing called pandemic in 2020? When you started in January, wow, the timing was just perfect. Perfect.
You could almost blame us for that, right?
Right.
Yeah, when we were having our indoor meetings in January, February, March, we were on a 50-state tour. We were going to do events in every state, making sure we didn't leave anyone out. We were going to pull the sheet from every corner of this country and make sure that we shook loose all of those potential faith voters who would come out on election day and do the right thing and stop the re-election of Donald Trump. But since August, we've been doing our meetings outdoors. And as you mentioned, we socially distance, we wear masks, but we still meet and we find a way to spread out here in the parking lot where we'll be on Thursday. And it's actually a really moving time. It's a part revival, part political call, where these two pieces come together. And we have exceptional musicians that travel with us, really great spoken word poets, and then people from right here in South Florida who will also be sharing about the importance of getting this vote out. And the Persuasion Act. There are still a chance to move just a small sliver of faith voters who feel so deeply that they can't support this president any longer. But you know what they also feel? They feel really afraid and they feel really alone. And when they try to raise something in their church or in their family, they feel all this pressure. We feel it at our events. Sometimes we have protesters. We had the Proud Boys at our last two events shouting us down and revving car and motorcycle engines and threatening people. So we know right here in South Florida how much pressure there can be for people to keep their allegiance to Donald Trump or to keep their opposition to him quiet. And we're going to do all that we can to make sure that people.
Doug, I know you're on the road, so likely you did not hear. Politico with NBC did a poll that they released yesterday specifically about Florida. And to your point about that small sliver that you're pursuing, the new NBC Politico poll shows that Florida in the presidential election is 47-47, which means there's 6% undecided in the poll. And so that's the sliver you're looking for.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I think Florida's going to go for Biden in this election, but I also know that a year ago today, or 4 years ago today, the Access Hollywood tape broke. And we all thought that's going to be the end of him. He's now going to be done. But in that last month...
It's like a comic book today compared to all the things that happened after
isn't
it.
Something?
Yeah.
And in that last month, instead of voters breaking away from Donald Trump, they broke for him. And that's where the shift happened. So while we see the polls are close, or the polls are even spreading out in some of the other swing states, this is the time to push as hard as we can. This is the time to make sure that all of those voters who aren't sure which way they're going to go, or if they're going to vote at all, that they come out. And literally every conversation matters. So we do these events not only for the benefit of the people that are going to be in the parking lot, but also to be in the news. We were just on NPR News. We're on Fox News stations every time we run one of these. Because when the Fox News channel hears that evangelicals like me are traveling the country to get faith voters to stop Donald Trump, that's like a man bites dog story that they just can't help but cover. And they come out, and they cover it. And when they cover it, people then hear that they're not alone, and that little voice that's inside of them gets a little louder, and they step out and they do the right thing. And we still believe that there are a lot of people who are in the closet on their opposition to Donald Trump, and election day is the day that they step out of that closet into the voting booth.
Yes, and stepping out of the closet in so many ways, by the way, for the LGBTQ community. America around the country, if you're in one of the cities, go to Vote Common Good, to their website. They will be doing this all the way up to Election Day. On Thursday, this Thursday, they will be in the gayest place on planet Earth, and the stars are aligning. The first live LGBTQ evening news show in the world is partnering with the largest LGBT church in the world, with an evangelical partnership of Vote Common Good to get out the vote. So we invite you to come to Sunshine Cathedral. If you're in South Florida, visit 5 p.m. This coming Thursday. Any final thoughts, Doug, you have?
Well, I think I really love the way you put that, Al, because we often refer to this as a period of strange bedfellows, right? Who you're gonna find laying next to you in this work. And not very often do people think that evangelicals and those reaching out to Catholic voters would join together with the LGBTQ community. But as somebody who's been a pastor in the progressive evangelical stream and for 25 years been trying to welcome the LGBTQ community into full involvement in our churches as well as the rest of our civic life, this is a crucial moment where we show people in the faith communities and around the country that there's a new coalition of people who care about one another and care about the common good and are going to be including all.
Well, and we remind you, you want to come out because this is no your grandfather's boring rally. There's going to be musicians and spoken word poets, motivational presentations. It should be a great event, and we invite you to come. Vote Common Good this Thursday in South Florida. And one last thought, Doug. I understand November 3rd, Election Day, just 20-some days away. We saw that bus. Maybe we can show the slide one more time that's moving around the country. I understand November 3rd. It might be parked just right outside the gates of someplace in Washington, D.C.
It is. It's our plan. On January 2nd, we pulled that big, beautiful bus that said Faith, Hope, and Love for a Change on Election Day up outside the White House to send the current inhabitants a message that we're coming back on November 3rd, and we're going to pull that bus up outside the White House and stand together with all the other people when the votes start being counted. Because every day we've been able to complain about it for 4 years, and there's a day coming when we get to do something about it.
Yes, absolutely. LGBT America, LGBT Florida, LGBT South Florida, you're part of that 7% that is hanging in the balance. That will make the decision. Doug, thank you very much, and thank you for being an anchor with us tonight at Q News Tonight as an ally. All right, well, next let's catch up on all the news surrounding COVID-19 with our segment we call Quarantine Quickies. These are the biggest stories relating to the ongoing pandemic.
Quarantine Quickies. Facebook removes Trump's flu COVID-19 post as a, quote, lie and dangerous. Watch this.
This morning, Facebook took down a post from President Trump which falsely claimed that COVID-19 is less deadly than the seasonal flu. A Facebook spokesperson told Newsy, "We remove incorrect information about the severity of COVID-19 and have now removed this post." Twitter didn't go as far as removing a tweet with the same message, saying it was in the public's interest to see the content of the post. Instead, Twitter put the tweet behind a warning label for violating platform rules about spreading misleading and potentially harmful information related to COVID-19. That label prevents users from liking the tweet or retweeting it without comment.
Facebook on Tuesday removed a post from President Trump in which he falsely claimed that COVID-19 is less deadly than the seasonal flu. Facebook spokesperson Andy Stone confirmed the company removed the post for breaking its rules on COVID-19 misinformation. President Trump has, by his own admission, played down the threat of COVID-19. Now, while battling his own bout with the disease, he has continued to dishonestly downplay the severity of the virus. I suppose Facebook has realized that it doesn't matter if you don't pay more in taxes under Republicans if no one wants to use your site because you enabled the deaths of hundreds of thousands of Americans. Smart.
Yeah, I tend to not like censorship, but fact-checking the president is something that we should all be doing all the time. And so good on you, Facebook, for taking that out.
And in clarity, the president suggested yesterday that more people die of seasonal flu than in COVID-19. Facebook flatly said that was false. 210,000 Americans so far have died of COVID-19. In the exact same period, influenza has killed approximately 32,000 people. 7 times more people have died of COVID-19 than influenza. And second, very important, influenza flu can only be transmitted after symptoms appear. COVID-19 is far more dangerous because you can be asymptomatic. Both statements in terms of more people die of flu, so it's no big deal, is patently false, and that's what Facebook told the President of the United States.
You know, what is not in debate is if COVID-19 is more deadly than the seasonal flu. That's not in debate. We all know that to be true. What is also not in debate is that Donald Trump is the most dangerous person to ever be in the presidency. And when he continues to use his bully pulpit to lie to the American people, whether it's out of his mouth or at a press conference or on social media accounts, someone needs to stand up to him. And look, I'm not going to trust that Facebook is going to stand up to Donald Trump. I don't think any of us should trust that.
No.
We all need to stand up to Donald Trump and tell our friends that COVID-19 is extremely dangerous. And getting rid of this president is one of the important next steps that we can all make to responding to COVID-19 in a way that's going to allow this country and frankly the rest of the world to move in directions of healing from this pandemic.
Yeah, it's time to regain our strength in the world, that's for sure. Quarantine quickies. LGBTQ America is not going to be helped from Trump's COVID-19 stimulus failure. Then, tweet confusion. Watch this.
President Trump, meantime, appears to be governing by tweet from the White House residence, where he is still being treated for coronavirus. Tonight, the president is ordering his Treasury Secretary and Republican lawmakers to stop negotiating with Democrats on a multi-trillion-dollar stimulus bill designed to help millions of Americans who are out of work due to COVID-19. The president says he'll return to the table if he's reelected.
Late last night, Donald Trump announced that he was suspending talks about any stimulus bill until, and I'm quoting the president, I win re-election. Within minutes, the stock market futures, which is overnight betting on how the stock market will open in the morning, fell off a cliff. In news the White House, we are sure, will claim is unrelated, this morning Trump was back tweeting about how he is ready to sign stimulus checks right this minute and bail out for businesses in need as well. The president may not care about people much, but he is on point when he hurts his precious stock market.
Well, that's it for Quarantine Quickies for today. Happening on Television Network, including Queer News Tonight, will sponsor the National LGBTQ Vote 2020 Debate and Smackdown on Friday, October 16th at 7:30 p.m. live. Watch this. Well, the debate will feature some of the greatest LGBTQ conservative voices in America, from #Walkaway and Americans for Trump, including founder Brandon Straka. They will debate the Vote 2020 issues with liberal hosts from Gay Town Hall, including Dr. Ty Hauser. You can participate in person in the event being held in the gayest place on planet Earth here in South Florida, or you can participate in the event live virtually. It will be an outstanding opportunity for you to be able to make your decision for November 3rd's vote. The National LGBTQ Vote 2020 Debate and Smackdown will be moderated, by me. So make sure you tune in. Well, if that wasn't exciting enough, now it is time for our photo essay for this evening. The subject tonight for this video is the new book, Loving a Photographic History of Men in Love, from the 1850s to the 1950s. This book presents photos of gay men over the course of 100 years. We hope you enjoy it. Watch this.
Queer News Tonight presents 6 amazing images from the book, Loving a Photographic History of Men in Love from the 1850s to 1950s by author Hugh Nini. Number 6. Loving portrays the history of romantic love between men in hundreds of moving and tender vernacular photographs taken between the years 1850 and 1950. Number 5. This visual narrative of astonishing sensitivity brings to light an unpublished collection of hundreds of snapshots. Number 4. taken when male partnerships were often illegal. The photos here were found at flea markets. Number 3. The collection now includes photos from all over the world. Number 2. The subjects were identified as couples by that unmistakable look in the eyes of two people in love. And number 1. They were also recognized by body language. Evidence as subtle as one hand barely grazing another. This had been 6 amazing images from the Loving, a photographic history of men in love from the 1850s to the 1950s. What did you think? Share your thoughts in the live comment thread. And don't forget to like and subscribe.
Interesting for our history. Happening Out Television Network is broadcasting on our brand new set in partnership with the Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest queer church, right here in Fort Lauderdale and Wilton Manors, Florida. We always joke, the gayest place on planet Earth. Our support of their Sunday celebration is the largest LGBTQ religious broadcast in the world every Sunday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern, and it's totally live. We encourage you to tune in, and Sunshine Cathedral is my queer church. Watch this.
Hi, I'm John Romano, LMT. Sunshine Cathedral is my queer church.
Well, we'd like to thank our set designer, Concepto Modern Living, here in Fort Lauderdale for making this set in this amazing queer church campus possible. We are going to end tonight's broadcast with The Big Finish. These are short story mentions of LGBTQ news or news with a gay perspective. So here we go. First on Queer News Tonight's The Big Finish. And I can't wait to see how the pastor participates in The Big Finish.
Me too.
First headline. No Major League Baseball players used anti-gay slurs during this regular season for the first time in 4 years.
Is that because they didn't have fans in the stadium? And, was all of that just bravado for the fans?
Doug, I wasn't listening to a word you said.
All I could do was
the two gay guys at the table. What did you say? I'm not even sure.
What is baseball again?
And those are baseball players?
Yes,
is that right?
Exactly.
Those are professional baseball players?
I understand they are professional. Ty, this is called a sport, by the way.
Right.
And by the way, a sport where it takes 4 balls to get to first base. Now I'm educating Ty as we go. Really, it should be a lot more gay friendly. Baseball should be more gay friendly because of that. And while you look at 4 balls as failure in the baseball world, for the pitcher and the catcher, get it? You know what I'm talking about.
Man.
The pastor probably does not, Doug.
I do.
Oh, do you? Well, gay guys usually consider 4 balls a home run. The Big Finish, right. We've talked about it before. Dolly Parton again teases LGBTQ America. She might pose for Playboy to celebrate turning 75.
For somebody who's 54, that's about 35 years too late. Sort of waiting for that.
Oh, are you sure you're not gay?
Is anyone?
I absolutely love Dolly, but I don't need to see that.
Ty and I agree tonight. I have absolutely no interest in seeing this, and because of this, I can't wait to see it. Gay is so strange to me. The Big Finish. Vote 2020 bingo card that you never expected. A reporter asked, Mr. President, are you a super spreader? Watch this.
So we've talked before that after 7 days after symptoms appear, according to the CDC, you cannot culture infectious virus. Now, if he's 7 days past symptoms first appearing, that would put it back around last Sunday, which means that he was infected and symptomatic at the debate and at all his events after that, and he knew it. And if you look at him during that debate, and I've been saying this even before this information came out, he was sweating like we've never seen him sweat. Now, we've seen him at rallies talk for 2.5 hours. The man does not sweat.
I can't wait to see him really sweat, though. I mean, I'm sure he's been sweating with his COVID symptoms, but this guy's going to sweat.
He's going to sweat.
Yeah, I mean, he is a clear danger, and the fact that anyone thinks that he would restrain himself at all in order to make sure other people are safe, they're fooling themselves. He's not going to do a single thing to make sure anybody else is safe.
I think after tonight's debate, we'll find out that Mike Pence is the super spreader.
I mean, the fact that super spreader is now a functional term.
Yes, and that a reporter would yell it at the leader of the free world. You know, I appreciate a good bingo card, but I am pretty sure my entire bingo card got filled and has been filled since March. The world has gone crazy, and the only constant is that the President of the United States is insane. Seriously, how low does the entire American dream have to fall to be asking the President if he is a super spreader of a pandemic? And the answer is yes. So please, Jesus, in honor of Doug and our pastor here tonight, Jesus, please take the wheel.
Well, that's today's news for the LGBTQ community on the world's first daily LGBTQ evening news show.
Remember, if it's important to the LGBTQ community, it's important to Queer News Tonight. But you got to help us out. Click subscribe on YouTube and share this news.
We are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. And this is the only source of live LGBTQ news in the entire world. Our community needs your support.
You're not alone. You'll get through these crises.
And we're here with you. And this is Queer News Tonight.
So thank you, America, for joining us. I'm Al Ferguson. And on behalf of Doug Padgett and Dr. Ty Hauser, we will see you daily and tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Good night, America.